Good evening everyone, happy Saturday evening. Would have been happy Friday evening, but anyone that's watched would have known that ran into a little trouble playing some music in the background, so I couldn't put up the video I did last night. So I'm not taking any chances with music tonight, so you just got me. Bummer, eh? It's really weird because I checked the copyright stuff on the music that I used to see if it was okay, but there you go. Obviously certain music is alright, and I think the older the better. I mean, like last Sunday I was playing some swing music in the background, and I might try that again on the next one, see if I have any problems with it. Smoking my trusty Bayard with St Bruno, ready rubbed. I do have other tobaccos, but it's because I only started smoking a pipe last August, September. I've been trying lots of different tobaccos, and generally, even if I find one I like, I don't buy it again because I want to try something different. So I'm going through a lot of different phases, and I'm going through a phase at the moment whereby this St Bruno is the only tobacco I've got that I actually like. I don't like the others. Well, anyway, cheers, good health, happy Saturday. And I have got other tobaccos on the way, so we'll have something different soon, by next weekend. Thank you to those who responded to my request for questions. I've got quite a few, and they've given me fuel for thought and themes for my next few videos, so I will be dealing with them. I was going to do one tonight, but to go into a long story, last night's video is now tonight's video, and tonight's video I shall probably do next weekend. I'm not very organised, and I was thrown out by this business last night. So thank you once again for the questions, and I shall be covering them. But what I talked about last night was, well, first off, there's a couple of new UK pipers in the community. There's WharfeValleyBoy, and his dad has just recently started as well. I think his name is Stephen Waters. So I'll put links to them down below, and I'm sure they'd love it if you went and checked them out and gave them a bit of support and sub to them. It'd be great. And Stephen Waters, WharfeValleyBoy's dad, sort of more or less the same age as me, might have a couple of years on me, but it's not a lot. And in his first video that he put up, I'm assuming he's fairly recently retired, he was talking about having the freedom then to do things that he'd wanted to do for a long time and could never do. And he's got a fairly horrific story about his first ever tattoo, which fortunately worked out okay, and he's very happy with it, and he didn't lose an arm. And from the sound of his tattoo artist, he wasn't the kind of bloke you could go back and complain to either. But, you know, it set me thinking, because I worked for years in a very conservative, conventional environment, particularly the last years I was there. Because the higher up I went, the more conservative and conventional it became. Grey men in grey suits, and I was one of them. And you didn't really step outside the boundaries. Not if you wanted to get on anyway. But then my marriage came to an end in 2010, and then I had to take early retirement from work the following year. And I'd been married to a fairly sort of conventional conservative woman. Conservative, not in the political sense, but you know what I mean. And suddenly I was no longer married, had my own house, wasn't working, the cuffs were off, I could do what I liked. And the first thing I did is I went down to the local piercing place and got a piercing, because I'd always wanted to have that done, but didn't feel I could get away with it at work. I've got these big fleshy earlobes, always have, had them all my life, ever since I was a kid. So I didn't think lobe piercings would work very well. So I decided to have my tragus pierced. And those that you don't know, the tragus is this sort of triangular bit at the front of your ear. Now the difference between that and a lobe is soft tissue, the tragus is cartilage. And piercing should be handled differently, but I didn't know that. I just went to the closest place where I lived at the time. It wasn't here. It was when I was still living in the marital home, if you like. And got it done there. And what I didn't know is that cartilage piercings really, really should be done with a needle. And what they used on me was what you can see in any shopping centre, shopping mall, where kids are going in and getting their earlobes done by people that have had about half an hour's training. They used a piercing gun, which effectively shoots a bit of metal through your ear. And when you do that with cartilage, it can actually separate the cartilage from the skin and shatter the cartilage. Causes quite a bit of trauma. But I didn't know that. So I went down there, I got it done, handed over my money and walked out very happy with my first ever piercing. I was hoping it was going to be the first of several. A little captive bead ring. Yeah, very pleased with it. Until about a week or 2 weeks later, I ended up with the emergency doctor. And I'd got this infection, quite a serious infection, potentially fatal in the very worst cases, called cellulitis. That's where bacteria can enter through a pinprick wound that you can't even see. And they go down to the bottom layers of skin and do their nasty stuff. And I didn't have this big long beard at the time, I only had a very short one. And you could actually track the progress of the infection. Started with a little red dot and then spread out in a big red triangle all the way down here as the bacteria multiplied and spread out. Burning hot to the touch. Painful. Wasn't very nice at all. And I ended up having that piercing taken out. I was on high strength antibiotics for over 3 weeks. And that rather put me off. That was, let's say, 6 years ago. And I didn't fancy having it done after that because I was so ill, I really didn't want to run the risk of it happening again. But then about 2 years later, and I was living here, and one thing and another, and I wanted to get one of my other dreams fulfilled, which was to have a tattoo. And I'd been put off following up with that because, you know, once again, they're breaking through the skin and I was worried about this infection taking hold again. But my daughters persuaded me to go ahead and do it, and so I did. And I didn't just, you know, walk down and say, walk in the shop and say, I want a tattoo, I'd like that. I gave it a lot of thought about what I wanted done and got an image that I really wanted. And for those of you that have watched a few of my videos, you'll probably know that I've got 2 daughters. And each of them has, as a middle name, not their first name, but as a middle name, they have a flower name. The eldest one is Lily, and the youngest one is Rose. And so, you know, steady yourself, because I'm going to open my shirt here. I went, and I had a lily and a rose tattooed next to my heart. And it all went perfectly well, and I was really pleased with it. I love it. So pleased that I had it done, because, you know, it's something that's very, very personal to me. It's not just a bit of decoration, it's something that really means something to me. And it's funny, because when I say it's my first one, and when I went in and I had the design and I sat with the guy, great big hulking bloke, covered in tattoos and piercings, but a lovely bloke. And we got it on, he stenciled it and he put it on, and then after about 10 minutes he said to me, by the way, I should tell you that you have chosen one of the most painful places to have your first tattoo done that you can. Because up here, it's basically skin, a little bit of muscle, then you're right on the bone, with just your nerve endings in between. And that needle going for 2 hours. I consider myself to have a pretty high pain threshold, but halfway through the second hour, I thought I was going to have to ask him to stop. I was sweating bullets. But I got through it, and I'm really pleased I did. And I love it. And I've got plans to have others done when the... because obviously, you know, it's a bit of art. It costs. It's not cheap to have tattoos done. And when I've got the cash flow situation is a bit easier, I'm going to have some more. And that was what? That was 2013. So that'd be, well, it's 3.5 years since I had this done. And then last year, I was taking my daughters, both of them, down to the local piercing parlour. They were both having a couple of things done. And obviously they knew the story of my previous one, and they were going about, go on, get it done, get your piercing. And you know you want to, so we were in there, and I had it done. This time I had a lobe piercing, and I paid the extra, because it's like £5 to have it done with a gun, but £20 to have it done with a needle, which effectively cuts a hole through your ear. And I paid the extra and had the needle done. Even that hasn't gone entirely smoothly, because I've got these fleshy lobes. A couple of weeks after I had it done, I was putting something on and I pulled it, and I won't give you the gory details, but it's taken until now to completely heal up properly. Literally within the past couple of weeks. It's finally, you know, I think we're in the clear. And so I go and get a couple of others done. Now, I know people say, you silly old bugger, what are you having all this stuff done? Look, at your age, really. Grow up. I mean, I've even had that kind of thing from some members of my family. But my reaction is, well, so many of us live our lives being bound by the conventions of others, whether it's family, whether it's our employers, that when you're finally free of all of that and you're in a situation where you don't have to worry about it, you're just your own boss, do whatever you want to do. And if other people think I'm silly for doing it, what the hell? I haven't had it done for them, I've had it done for me. And that's my philosophy anyway. If you want to do something and you've got the freedom to do it, go ahead and do it, and don't worry what other people think. But I spent far too much of my life worrying about what other people think. And obviously you have to maintain standards of, certain standards of behaviour. You know, you don't want to be antisocial. And I'd like to think I've always been sort of considerate about other people's feelings and one thing and another. But really, when you can really tie yourself down a bit too much with worrying about what other people are going to say about things that you do. So, I shall go for it. If you can't do it when you're old and retired, when can you do it? Anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks once again for your questions that you put to me. And yeah, I'll be covering them in future videos. And thanks very much for watching. And if any of you out there have got your own story about, you know, doing something that's broken with the conventions you've followed previously, and or maybe just a horror story about your first piercing, your first tattoo, whatever, be nice to hear it. So there you go, a music-free video. Hope it wasn't too dull. Cheers all, until I speak to you again, which will probably be next weekend now, with some new tobacco and even a new pipe. There, little teaser for you. Something to look forward to. I hope wherever you are, you're safe, well, happy, warm and content, and the sun is shining on you. Because it's about time it did. We had a false start a couple of weeks ago and I was glorying in the sunshine, and it's sort of disappeared since then. I'll be glad when it comes back. Cheers all. Take care. Bye-bye.